The stars outside the large window of the CNS Valor shimmered like cold diamonds. The war had left the space around them quiet, filled only with broken ships and floating metal. A team of rescue drones returned to the hangar, towing a single escape pod behind them. Inside was someone or something alive. Lieutenant Aaron Morlow, a tall, soft-spoken medic, was the first to inspect the pod. It had taken damage, but its life support was still running. As the hatch slowly opened with a hiss, a quiet gasp escaped Aaron's lips. "It's a woman." "Alien," he said into his comm. "She's breathing." Barely. The alien lay curled, in a tight ball, her skin pale with soft glowing lines running across her arms. Her hair, silver like moonlight, drifted slightly as if moved by some unseen breeze. Her clothes were torn and marked with soot. But what struck Aaron most was her eyes. They were open, staring blankly ahead and yet full of something he couldn't name. Fear, maybe, or sorrow. She didn't speak. She didn't move. But she was alive. Soon, the alien woman was transferred to the ship's medbay. A group of scientists, translators, and Concord officials stood around her bed. Scanners passed over, her body whispering quiet beeps and hums. No signs of injury, no brain damage, no infections, nothing. "She's fine physically," one doctor said, "but she's unresponsive." "Maybe she's pretending," said Commander Tall, a short, sharp-eyed official from the Concord security force. "This could be a spy trick, a distraction." A voice translator finally decoded a few words the alien had whispered again and again in a faint breath. "The burning hands, the voice that sings fire." "What does that mean?" Tal frowned. "It's nonsense." But someone else didn't think so. Captain Elena Vasquez watched from the corner, her arms crossed. She was the only human officer present. Most humans were new in the Concord, still viewed with suspicion or curiosity by the older, wiser species. But humans had proven strong allies in the last war. Elena had seen many kinds of trauma in her life. Wars, starvation, rescue missions, gone wrong. She didn't see a liar in that bed. She saw someone trying to survive. Later that night, Elena returned alone to the medbay. The room was dim, quiet except for the soft hum of machines. The alien woman lay still. Her silver hair spread across the pillow like starlight. Elena sat beside her. "They think you're lying," she said quietly. "But I don't." The alien did not respond. Elena leaned closer. "Can you hear me? My name is Elena. I'm human." The alien blinked, just once. A tiny motion. Then stillness again. Elena slowly reached out and placed her hand over the alien's. The skin felt warm, almost too warm. For a second, nothing happened. Then, faintly, the glowing lines on the alien's arms flickered. Like soft firelight, Elena's eyes widened. What was that? She kept her hand there a moment longer. The flicker returned, brighter this time. Suddenly, the alien whispered something, not with her mouth, but directly into Elena's mind. A soft voice, full of music and sadness. One of them returns. A flame singer touches the sleeping star. Elena gasped and pulled her hand back. The glow faded. The alien fell quiet again. The next morning, Elena reported everything. The flickering lights, the strange voice, the words spoken directly into her thoughts. Commander Tal rolled his eyes. "There's no record of the species communicating telepathically." "She spoke to me," Elena said firmly. "Not out loud, in my mind, I felt it." "You felt it?" Tal said sharply. "Captain, with respect, feelings are not facts." "She responded to my touch," Elena said. "Maybe she needs human contact. Maybe there's something about our biology. Isn't that worth exploring?" The Concord officials debated. Some wanted to run more tests. Others wanted to freeze her in stasis and send her to a central lab. No one agreed, and no one believed. But Elena remembered the words. "The flame singer, the sleeping star, She had no idea what they meant. Yet deep in her heart she knew one thing. The alien woman wasn't lying. She was waiting for someone. And Elena believed that someone might be her. Captain Elena Vasquez stood at the edge of the CNS Valor's observation deck, staring at the endless black of space. The stars twinkled cold and distant, but inside her chest a small fire burned, a quiet hope. The alien woman they had found was still in stasis, silent and unresponsive most of the time. Yet Elena could not forget the strange flicker she saw when she touched her, or the soft voice in her mind. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft beep from her wrist communicator. Lieutenant Aaron Morlow's voice came through. "Captain, the Concord Council wants to review the data again. They're not convinced the survivor is anything more than a risk." Elena sighed and ran a hand through her dark hair. "Understood. Lieutenant, I'll join the briefing." As she walked to the conference room, Elena's mind raced. The alien's strange words, flame singer, sleeping star, kept echoing. There was something important in them, something old. The room was filled with officials from different species of the galactic Concord. Humans were still new in these circles, and Elena often felt their eyes weigh her words with doubt. Dr. Vecto, a tall reptilian with shining scales, presented the latest reports. The survivor, who calls herself Scifi, has no physical injuries. Neural scans show an unusual pattern. There is a resonance when human biological energy is near, but the cause is unknown. Commander Tal, always skeptical, frowned. "Is this resonance dangerous? Could it be a trap?" Elena spoke up. "It might be a key. I believe Scifi's species reacts specifically to humans. We may be the only ones able to awaken her fully." Tal scoffed. "That is a bold claim. What proof do you have?" Elena looked around. "Not proof yet, but I request permission to examine her myself, to try to communicate more directly." The room was silent for a moment. Then Dr. Vecto nodded, slowly. "We will allow it, but under strict supervision." Elena nodded, feeling a small victory. Later, in the medbay, Elena stood by Scifi's bedside. The alien's silver hair shone softly under the lights, and her glowing lines pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Elena gently placed her hand on Scifi's arm. The moment their skin touched, the glowing lines brightened. A warmth spread through Elena's fingers, a vibration she could feel deep in her bones. Suddenly, a rush of images filled Elena's mind. Not words, but feelings and pictures. She saw a vast galaxy filled with stars and planets. She saw a planet burning bright with blue flames, and on it, a great city that looked ancient and peaceful. Then she saw darkness creeping over the city, swallowing the flames. The images faded, as quickly as they came, leaving Elena breathless. Scifi's eyes fluttered open. She looked directly at Elena, and for the first time her voice came out loud and clear. "Flame singer," she said softly, her voice like a song. "You have touched the sleeping star." Elena swallowed hard. "I'm here, Scifi. I want to help you." Scifi's eyes searched Elena's face. "They believed I was lying. They did not see the fire." Elena nodded. "I believe you. Tell me what happened." Scifi's lips moved slowly as she spoke, struggling with the words. "My people. We were guardians of the light. Long ago we spread across the stars, planting seeds of life and hope. But the darkness came, a force that burns and destroys. We hid in sleep, waiting for the true voices to return. Elena, humans, Scifi, continued, you carry the flame. Your touch awakens what was lost." Elena's mind reeled. "Why humans? Why us?" Scifi smiled faintly. "Because the fire lives in you, the spark of creation and destruction. The flame singers are chosen to bring the light back." Just then, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Elena's heart jumped. Commander Tal entered, flanked by security. "Captain Vasquez, you're unauthorized. Contact with the survivor is over. The Concord demands the survivor be moved to the research station immediately." Elena stood firm. Sci-Fi is not just a survivor. She's the key to something much greater. You must understand. Humans are part of this story. Tayal's voice was cold. Your belief does not change the facts. This is a security matter. Elena looked at Sci-Fi, who reached out weakly to touch Elena's cheek. You are the flame, she whispered. Elena's resolve hardened. I will not let them silence the flame. That night, Elena stayed by Sci-Fi's side, holding her hand. The glowing lines pulsed brighter than before, and Sci-Fi's breathing steadied. Elena whispered, I don't know what lies ahead, but I promise, you won't face it alone. Outside, the stars watched silently as a new bond formed, between a human and an alien, between hope and fear, between the past and the future. The story of the Flame Singers was just beginning. The CNS Valor hummed quietly as it drifted through space. In the medbay, soft lights glowed over the silver-haired alien woman lying on the bed. Sci-Fi's eyes were closed, but her body was no longer still. Tiny flickers of light traced the glowing lines along her skin, like a faint heartbeat. Captain, Elena Vasquez sat nearby, watching with quiet hope. Elena had spent hours trying to communicate with Sci-Fi, but the alien's mind seemed locked behind invisible walls. She remembered the strange images she had seen when they touched, the burning city, the dark creeping in, but Sci-Fi could not yet explain them. Today, Elena prepared a new plan. She called in Dr. Vecto, the reptilian scientist, and Lieutenant Aaron Morlow, the medic. We need to try a neural interface, Elena said firmly. It could help unlock her memories gently. Dr. Vecto nodded slowly. It is risky. If the mind is damaged, the process could cause more harm. I'll take responsibility, Elena said. We need to know the truth. The small team gathered around the medbay table. A device with glowing sensors was placed carefully on Sci-Fi's head. The machine hummed softly as it began to scan her brainwaves. Elena held Sci-Fi's hand, feeling the warmth and watching the flickers of light pulse stronger. Suddenly, Sci-Fi's body twitched and her eyes snapped open. For a moment she stared at nothing, her pupils wide and unblinking. Elena squeezed her hand gently. Sci-Fi, can you hear me? The alien's lips moved, but no sound came out. Then, inside Elena's mind, the soft voice returned. The burning hands, the voice that sings fire. They came for us, but I escaped. Images flashed behind Elena's eyes. Flames, a terrible storm, people running in fear. She saw a giant ship burning, and a shadowy figure with glowing eyes watching. From the distance, Elena gasped and pulled back her hand. The images vanished and Sci-Fi fell quiet again. Dr. Vecto frowned. The neural pattern suggests severe trauma. The memories are locked tight, hidden behind fear and pain. Elena nodded. We need to be patient. Over the next days, Elena returned to Sci-Fi often. She would sit beside her, telling stories from Earth, stories of fire and hope, of heroes who never gave up. She spoke slowly in the alien's own language, which she had learned from the ship's archives. One evening, as Elena told a story about a phoenix rising from ashes, Sci-Fi's glowing lines pulsed brighter than ever. The alien's breathing deepened. Her fingers twitched. Elena, Sci-Fi whispered softly. The fire, it remembers. Elena smiled. Yes, Sci-Fi, you are remembering. Slowly, Sci-Fi began to speak more clearly. She told Elena about her home world, once a shining jewel, called Vera, full of light and life. Her people, the Flame Singers, were guardians who used fire not just to burn, but to create and protect. But darkness had come. A mysterious force called the Shadow Storm had swept across the galaxy, destroying everything in its path. Many Flame Singers went into deep sleep, hiding their minds from the pain. Sci-Fi's ship was attacked while fleeing the destruction. She was the only one to escape. Elena listened closely, her heart heavy with the weight of the story. Why did you survive? Elena asked. Sci-Fi looked at her with tired eyes. Because the fire inside me did not die. Because a Flame Singer's spirit is strong, but only a true Flame Singer's touch can awaken it fully. Elena reached out her hand again, and this time Sci-Fi grasped it firmly. The glowing lines on her skin shone like a small sun. "We are linked," Elena said, "in a way no one else understands." Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Sci-Fi's memories returned in fragments. Faces, places, promises made long ago. But some memories remained locked away, hidden behind walls she could not yet cross. One night, as the ship drifted near a star system, the communication console beeped urgently. Elena hurried to the bridge. "Captain," Lieutenant Aaron said, "we have detected a faint signal from an uncharted system. It matches the frequency of the Flamesinger's ancient calls." Elena's heart raced. Could this be a sign? A message from others like Sci-Fi? A chance to find more survivors? She made her decision quickly. "Prepare the ship. We're going to investigate." As the CNS Valor changed course, Elena stood by the observation window. The stars stretched endlessly before her, but this time, they seemed alive with promise. The Flamesingers were not just a legend, they were real, and with the touch of a human, their story was just beginning to be told. The CNS Valor shifted its course silently, leaving behind the familiar paths of the galactic conquered and heading toward the unknown. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the star map projected before her. The faint signal they had detected, barely a whisper among the stars, was their only lead, but it was enough. In the medbay, Sci-Fi lay quietly on her bed. Her breathing was steadier now, and the faint glow of the lines on her skin pulsed softly like a slow heartbeat. Elena approached, carrying a small device designed to monitor brain activity. But more than technology, she carried hope. "Elena," Sci-Fi said softly when she saw her. "You came." Elena smiled, taking her hand gently. "I'm here. We're going to find answers together." The alien's eyes held a mixture of gratitude and fear. For so long she had been silent, locked away in shadows of memory. But Elena's presence was a spark, small, but growing. Days passed as the ship moved through the stars. Elena spent hours by Sci-Fi's side, often speaking softly in the alien's own tongue, reading stories of Earth and the human spirit. She told her about the phoenix, a bird that burns and is reborn from its ashes, a symbol of hope. One evening, as Elena held Sci-Fi's hand, the glowing lines on the alien's arm began to shimmer bright. Fly. Suddenly, Sci-Fi's eyes opened wide, shining with a strange light. "Elena," she whispered, voice steady for the first time. "The fire calls. I feel it now." Elena's heart leapt. "What do you mean?" Sci-Fi closed her eyes, focusing. Then she began to hum, a soft, musical sound that seemed to fill the room. The glowing patterns on her skin moved, swirling in rhythm with the hum. "It is the flame song," Sci-Fi explained. "A melody that awakens the spirit of my people. It is a power lost to us for centuries." Elena listened, amazed. The sound was beautiful, filled with ancient power and sadness. She felt warmth spread through her body, a strange energy connecting them. Suddenly, Sci-Fi's eyes opened again and she reached out to touch Elena's face gently. "You carry the flame," she said, "the flame that can awaken us all." Before Elena could respond, the ship's alarm blared loudly. The bridge called out urgent messages. An unknown vessel was approaching fast. Elena quickly left Sci-Fi's side and rushed to the bridge. On the main screen, a sleek, dark ship appeared, moving with purpose. "Unknown vessel," Elena said, fingers tightening on the console. "Open a channel." A crackling voice answered, cold and sharp. "This is Commander Tal of the Conquered Security. Captain Vasquez, your unauthorized activities with the survivor are a breach of protocol. Prepare to surrender Sci-Fi for transfer." Elena's jaw tightened. "Commander, Sci-Fi is not just a survivor. She is the key to something greater. I will not hand her over without answers." Tal's voice hardened. "You are ordered to comply or face consequences." Elena turned to her crew. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. We're not giving up. Back in the medbay, Sci-Fi stood unsteadily, her glowing lines bright like wildfire. She looked at Elena with fierce determination. They fear the fire, she said, but the fire will not be hidden. Together, Elena and Sci-Fi worked to unlock more of the Flame Singer's powers. Each touch, each word, brought new strength. The ship's systems registered unusual energy spikes. Sci-Fi's awakening was real, powerful. As the enemy ship closed in, Elena made a choice. We will not run, she said. If they want to fight, we'll give them a reason to believe in us. The CNS Valor lit its engines, ready to face whatever came next. And in the quiet moments between battle preparations, Elena held Sci-Fi's hand once more. Whatever happens, Elena whispered, we face it together. Sci-Fi smiled, fire glowing in her eyes. Together, we will bring the flame back to the stars. The CNS Valor sailed silently through the vast darkness of space, its engines humming a steady rhythm. Captain Elena Vasquez stood at the ship's observation window, watching distant stars flicker like tiny flames in the blackness. Each star was a world, some known, many unknown. And somewhere among them was the secret they had been searching. For Sci-Fi rested in the medbay, her glowing lines now steady and bright. She had grown stronger in the weeks since the Council's partial acceptance, but many questions still remained. Where were her people? What had truly happened to the Flame Singers? Elena paced the room, a thick folder of ancient data and star maps in her hands. They had discovered something incredible, a signal buried deep within human DNA, a faint pattern that matched the same frequency as the Flame Singer's ancient call. It's like a message, Elena said softly, showing the data to Lieutenant Aaron Morlow. A signal waiting to be heard. Aaron studied the star maps. Could it be a beacon? A call to those who carry the fire? Elena nodded. I think so. And it's hidden inside humans. It means we are connected, more than we ever imagined. Back in the medbay, Elena shared the news with Sci-Fi. The alien's eyes widened as she listened. Your people planted this, Sci-Fi said slowly. Long ago, when the Flame Singers spread life across the stars, they left a part of themselves in many species. In humans, the seed survived. The signal is a call to awaken. Elena's heart raced. So humans were not just born by chance, we are part of this ancient plan. Sci-Fi smiled faintly. Yes, and now the time has come for that plan to unfold. Together, they studied the star maps embedded in Sci-Fi's memories, maps that pointed to distant systems where other Flame Singers might still be hidden, vaults beneath planets waiting for the flame to return. Elena prepared a report for the Conquered Council, hoping this proof would finally change their minds. But old fears died hard. The Council remained cautious, hesitant to believe in what seemed like ancient legends. We must be careful, warned Commander Tal. Activating these sites could be dangerous. We do not know what lies there. Elena understood the concern, but also felt urgency. If we don't act, the Flame Singers may be lost forever. We have to try. With reluctant approval, the Concord agreed to send an expedition team led by Elena and Sci-Fi to one of the closest marked worlds. As the Valor approached the planet, Elena could see its surface covered in strange glowing ruins, ancient structures, half buried in the dust. The landing team stepped onto the dry ground, a mix of Concord scientists and human crew. Sci-Fi led the way, her glowing skin lighting the path. Deep beneath the surface, they found a vault sealed with strange symbols that matched the glowing patterns on Sci-Fi's skin. Elena, Sci-Fi said, this is where the Flame Singers rest. We must awaken them. The team carefully activated the vault's controls. Light spread through the chambers like dawn breaking. Crystalline pods began to hum softly. Suddenly, a figure stirred inside one pod, a tall being with shining eyes and skin that shimmered like molten silver. The chamber filled with a gentle warmth, and the air seemed to pulse with energy. The awakened Flame Singer opened their eyes and looked around, confused but alive. Elena felt a rush of hope and awe. This was the beginning of something greater, a rebirth of a forgotten race. As more pods lit up, the team realized the vault was larger than they thought. Countless flame singers waited in silent slumber, ready to rise. Back on the ship, the council watched closely as the proof unfolded. No longer could they deny the truth. Humans were part of an ancient story, one that connected them to the stars, and to the flame singer's legacy. Elena and Sci-Fi stood side by side, watching the awakened beings take their first steps in a new age. The flame was no longer sleeping. It was alive, and it burned brighter than ever. The tension on the CNS Valor was thick like a storm cloud. After the warning from Commander Tal, Captain Elena Vasquez knew that the Galactic Concord was not going to let Sci-Fi go easily. Despite the strange powers awakening inside Sci-Fi, most officials still saw her as a threat, a mystery that needed to be locked away or destroyed. The ship's crew moved quietly through their duties, aware of the uncertain future. Elena, however, refused to give in. She spent long hours in the med bay with Sci-Fi, hoping to learn more about the flame singers and the ancient fire that stirred within her. One day, the ship received a message from the Concord's Central Council. It was brief and cold. Survivor is to be transferred immediately to Research Station Delta. All resistance will be met with force. Elena clenched her fists. She looked at Sci-Fi, who sat on the edge of the bed, glowing faintly but calm. "They don't understand," Elena said softly. "But we can't just hand her over." Sci-Fi nodded slowly. "The flame singers were once guardians of the light. Our power was meant to protect life, to bring hope. The Concord fears what they cannot control." Elena's mind raced. She needed allies, but trust was thin. The Concord's fear was deep, and their rules were strict. Determined, Elena gathered a small group of trusted crew members. They met in a quiet room, far from the watchful eyes of Concord officials. "We have to show them the truth," Elena said. "If the flame singers are real, if humans are part of this, then hiding won't help anyone." Lieutenant Aaron nodded. "But how?" "They want to lock her away." Elena smiled faintly. "We tell stories. We share the history that's been forgotten. We prove that this isn't just myth." Together they searched the ship's archives for anything about the flame singers. Old star maps, lost records, and ancient legends appeared on the screens. Slowly, a picture formed, one of a civilization that had once spread hope across the galaxy, only to disappear into legend. Meanwhile, Sci-Fi's powers grew stronger. Her glowing lines brightened, and the warmth she gave off filled the room like a gentle fire. When Elena touched her, the strange connection they shared deepened. One afternoon, as Elena sat beside her, Sci-Fi reached out and placed a hand on Elena's forehead. A rush of images flooded Elena's mind: planets with shining cities, ancient beings singing under stars, and a great shadow that had stolen the light. "They wait for the flame singers to return," Sci-Fi whispered. "And now, the flame burns in you." Elena felt the weight of the moment. It was more than a story. It was a call to action, but the Concord was not listening. As the deadline for transfer approached, Elena's team worked quickly to prepare evidence. They compiled records and translated Sci-Fi's stories into reports. But when they presented their findings, the council remained cold. "This is folklore," one official declared. "We cannot base galactic security on ancient myths." Elena stood firm. "These myths are alive. The flame singer's power is real, and it is linked to humanity." The room grew quiet. Some faces showed doubt, others, fear. Suddenly a voice spoke from the back of the chamber. It was Ambassador Lyra, a respected diplomat from the Avran species. "Have seen signs in my own world," Lyra said calmly. "There are stories passed down that match what Captain Vasquez describes. If this flame is real, we should learn, not fear." Her words sparked whispers among the council. For the first time, Elena saw a crack in their doubt. The council agreed to delay the transfer, just long enough for a special investigation team to join the Valor. Elena returned to the med bay, hope rising. We have time, she told Sci-Fi. Time to show them who you really are. Sci-Fi smiled softly, her light glowing like a small sun. The fire is growing. Soon the stars will sing again. That night, as the ship drifted through silent space, Elena looked out at the stars. The path ahead was uncertain and dangerous, but she knew one thing for sure. Humanity and the Flame Singers were linked by a fire older than the stars themselves. A fire that could not be put out, and Elena would protect that fire no matter the cost. The air inside the ancient vault was alive with light and energy. Captain Elena Vasquez stood among the newly awakened Flame Singers, her heart pounding with awe and hope. Around her, beings who had slept for centuries stretched and blinked under the glow of the crystalline pods. Their eyes shone with wisdom and power, and the glowing patterns on their skin pulsed like living fire. Sci-Fi, glowing brighter than ever, held Elena's hand firmly. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "The Flame Singers were meant to protect the stars. Now, with your help, we can." Elena looked at the awakened beings. They were tall and strong, with features that seemed both alien and familiar. Their voices hummed as they began to speak in unison, a song of light and rebirth that echoed through the vault's chambers. Outside, the crew of the CNS Valor worked quickly to secure the site and prepare for the others who awaited awakening on distant worlds. The discovery was a turning point, not just for the Concord, but for all who lived among the stars. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. Some greeted the Flame Singers with fear, unsure of their power. Others saw hope in their return, believing that the Flame Singers might bring balance and peace. Elena stood on the ship's bridge watching the stars twinkle in the vastness beyond. The Flame Singers' awakening was proof that humanity was more than just a newcomer. Humans carried a legacy written in the stars, a legacy that connected them to an ancient power and a promise of renewal. Suddenly, a message came through from the Council. It was an invitation, an offer to join a new alliance formed between humans, Flame Singers, and other species willing to protect the galaxy from darkness. Elena smiled. We accepted. But the true work was just beginning. Sci-Fi and the Flame Singers began to teach the humans how to awaken the fire within themselves. The bond between them grew stronger every day, and strange new abilities began to emerge in those who embraced the flame. Elena herself felt the change. The warmth of the fire inside her heart gave her strength and courage she had never known. One evening, standing beneath a sky filled with stars, Elena and Sci-Fi spoke quietly. "Do you think the others will come?" Elena asked. Sci-Fi nodded. "They will. The flame calls to all who listen. Soon the galaxy will be filled with light once more." Elena looked out into the darkness. "Then we must be ready." As the CNS Valor prepared to travel to the next sleeping world, Elena felt a deep sense of purpose. They were not just explorers or warriors. They were the Flame Singers' hope, the light in a dark galaxy, and together they would rise. The stars shone brighter than ever, as if celebrating a new beginning, a beginning where humanity and the Flame Singers stood united, a beacon of hope, courage, and fire. The Flame Singers had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again.